there's usually one sentence that limits you in life, and that'll become clear as we talk. But I want to start from when you were born. I want to start from before you actually came into this world and learned anything. Because ultimately you were born unlimited, and as you go through life, you learn all these limitations. And I mean, you guys already are learning how to become unlimited. You know exactly how that works. But in this talk today, what I'm going to speak about to you guys is the process of your life. And I want this video, I want this talk for you guys to be something you can actually analyze yourself and think, right, okay, when did I pick up a limitation? Do I still have any? And as I'm talking, actually analyze yourself. Don't just think this is a talk where you're soaking in wisdom. This is something you can use for self-analysis, okay? So let's get started. Oh, that's not meant to be on the screen, on the thing. No, we'll cut that. So, and everyone can hear me correctly, yeah? The thing, yeah? Just because it's fucking loud as fuck. So, we are all born, so from the ages of 0 to 8, we're in this state, and it's called theta state. I'm going to draw it for you here. So from the ages of 0 to about 8 years old, 7, 8 years old, we're in this state called theta. Okay? And why this is important, I want to show you a quick model of the mind so you can apply why this is actually important to being this age and what actually happens. This model of your mind, okay, the theory of your mind, you have this conscious mind, okay? So you have this conscious mind, and then the bottom part here is called the subconscious mind. And then there's this filter called the critical faculty. That's what we call it in hypnosis. And essentially this critical faculty, it rejects anything that isn't necessarily in alignment with what you believe in the moment, right? So if I say to one of you guys in the room, you're going to make £1 million tomorrow, this critical faculty, that suggestion is going to come in, and that critical faculty is going to reject it, because that's not your reality. Like, you're not actually necessarily aligned with that subconsciously, so you're going to reject that suggestion. But what happens when you're 0 to 8 years old, and you're in this theta brainwave state, this filter is pretty much wide open. And this is important because if it's wide open, that means between the ages of 0 and 8, everything that you get told, everything you experience, okay, especially by your parents, it goes straight into your subconscious mind. And this subconscious mind then just has these programs in it that are aligned with whatever you have learned in life. Is this making sense? So from the ages of 0 to 8, this filter's open. And you literally don't have control over whatever you learn. You just learn what you learn. You're a complete sponge. I want you to think about this. You're a complete sponge. So you can even start to think right now, when I was from the ages of 0 and 8, here's a really good question. Between the ages of 0 and 8, what did money look like for you? Was it abundant? Was it scarce? Did you have any problems when you were between the ages of 0 and 8? It's a good idea to think about that, because when you think about that and being that age, that's going to create these subconscious programs that until you become consciously aware of it, it's going to control your life. So let me give you a little model of how this actually looks. Okay, so between the ages of 0 and 8, you're a complete sponge and you're soaking everything in. But at what point do you learn limitations? Like, what does this actually look like in your life? Well, what happens, you're going to either, as a child, go through an experience, okay? And that's either going to be a direct experience that you have, and you experience it yourself, or you experience an observation. And tonight I'm going to actually focus more this about kind of money blocks and like things to do with finances, because we all want to have ultimate freedom. What gives you freedom? Money. And anyone watching this, I mean, it's a priority for anyone to be successful. They want to make money, okay? So I'm going to kind of direct that more towards what happens in your life when you have money. But what happens, you have an experience that's either direct or it's an observation. And if either of these, okay, or this overall experience is tied to a negative emotion, okay, if it's tied to a negative emotion and there's emotional intensity, so it's actually really negative, right? What that's going to do is it's going to form a subconscious association. So like we spoke about there, between the ages of 0 and 8, your filter is open. So you're being programmed with whatever you learn, whatever you get told, whatever you experience or observe. Think about negative emotions. These are the things that are going to hold you back and create limitations. It creates this subconscious association. Okay. And let's speak about an example of a subconscious association, right? So imagine your experience with money isn't positive and it's negative, right? In the scenario where this happens, you've went through an experience in life where your mum's been stressed about money. So maybe that's the experience you've had. You've been directly stressed out, but you've observed your mum being stressed about money. And she's thinking, I've not got any, personally I've got an experience where I seen my mum on a couch and she was stressed out, she was holding a £20 note. As a child, between 0 and 8, it's not on the board, but as a child between 0 and 8, I just seen £20, I seen my mum stressed out, and I thought, it's actually the only money she's actually got. And I seen that she was holding money, so my mind had an experience with money, right? And what was experienced in that money, in that scenario? What negative emotion? It was anxiety. Okay, and that anxiety, that stress, was then associated with money in my subconscious mind. And there's something really important to understand about the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is completely irrational. So would we all agree that money will give you freedom and it's a good thing? Yes. Everyone would agree that, yeah? Your subconscious mind doesn't give a fuck if you've had this experience and it's been negatively attached to money. Because the subconscious mind is irrational. That means it makes no fucking sense. And we'll speak a little bit more about the subconscious mind and how it controls your behaviours. But the subconscious mind literally controls most of your behaviours. In the model that I've been learning recently, the subconscious mind literally makes up 99% of your overall mind. So you think about that, the iceberg scenario, which I'm going to put on the board for you to get a visual. The subconscious mind is huge. It's the biggest part of your mind. So if you have programs in your subconscious mind, think about the model. If you get programs in here that are negative, it doesn't matter how powerful your conscious thought of, I need money and I want money and I really want to have it because it's really positive. If the subconscious mind doesn't agree with that, there's going to be resistance. So let's speak about what the resistance looks like and how you're going to experience it in your life. But just keep in mind, my experience with money was anxiety. That was the stress, right, that I attached to money. So subconsciously, I have resistance between me and making money, me and being financially successful. And I'm going to draw this on the board so it's very, very clear. Does this make sense so far? Yeah? I understand you guys have learnt this shit on calls, right? But I'm just making sure it does. So very important to understand this because, again, has anyone ever experienced in their life? Has anyone experienced in their life in this room? I know you all have, right? But just to think back to it, where you've been consciously aiming for a goal, and then you just keep sabotaging, procrastinating, pushing things off, not doing the thing that will actually take you there. We've all had that in the room where you know what you want to achieve, but then you just keep fucking falling off. And a lot of you right now are probably thinking, okay, I'm not doing that anymore, I've shifted and we've been working, but Gavin's sitting looking at me like, bro, I've got no resistance, mate, I've got a deal driving here right now. It's fucking sick. Well, you've had this before, right? And that is this subconscious association that's creating resistance. Sorry, I'm still using. That's the subconscious association creating resistance. So let's see what that looks like, okay? So between 0 and 8, your mind is open. You're like a sponge. And until you become aware of these programs that have been put in your mind between that age, until you become conscious of the unconscious, it's just going to run your life. It's just going to run your life and you're going to experience it through this resistance from the subconscious program. So think about this. Think about this as you. Let's actually make you a stick man, right? So imagine this is you, and you've got money here. This subconscious resistance will be this ceiling. It will be this resistance between you and the money you want to make. And how this usually shows up, especially for business owners, entrepreneurs, people that are trying to be successful, it will show up as self-sabotage, right? Okay? It will show up as procrastination. You'll know exactly what you want to achieve. You know exactly why it's good. Consciously, you have all these things, but some reason you just keep falling off. You just keep not doing the thing you know you should. You keep procrastinating. You're not doing the right thing, right? You're being inconsistent. Has anyone ever got really close to getting a big result and then you just fuck it up? Has anyone ever had that? Yeah? So again, that's the thing. I'm going to speak about this in a minute, but you get close to achieving the goal and then inconsistency fucking strikes, right? And that happens because of this subconscious resistance between you and money. So the idea is, and as we speak about this, we're going to be aware of how to become unlimited and how to actually consciously be aware of this. But if you've experienced procrastination, self-sabotage, and inconsistency, but you consciously want to achieve the goal that you've got subconscious associations that are tied to success that are not going to allow you to succeed. So let's think about it. Keep in mind, like I said, the experience that I had with money and stress. My mum, and I seen her crying over money, it created anxiety, it created stress. My subconscious mind, irrationally, not logically, because money's going to give me freedom, money's going to help me change millions of lives. Money equals anxiety. That's the subconscious association that's created. And that's what will act as resistance, and that's what will lead to this self-sabotage, procrastination, inconsistency, right? Money equals anxiety. So consciously, I do not think that. I don't consciously think that money equals anxiety. But for how long, obviously, Jack, how long have we said we're going to be millionaires, right? Has there been a lot of procrastination over the last 5 years? For sure. Good bit of it. We've not been taking action, right? In some ways, obviously, we've taken a lot of action. But me and Jack, recently with Jack, I've been doing some work with Jack, and like we have been with all of you guys, right? And Jack recently has been opening up his mind to high ticket, charging thousands of pounds for his service. And like, what was the most you charged before? Like for a package on the mobility subscription. A couple of £100 was Jack's like biggest package, right? But bearing in mind, me and Jack have pretty much the same subconscious associations because we're twins. So we had money as anxiety, money as stress. Like the list that we had when I done the call with Jack was unbelievable, right? But now because Jack's removed these subconscious associations, how many more ideas have been flowing for high ticket? How many more people have you been talking to? It's fucking unbelievable, right? And that's now opening you up to all of these bigger deals and making more money, and there's not been inconsistency and anxiety, right? It's so loud in here, right? But it's fine, we're doing well. We're doing well. But I want to, again, make you aware of the subconscious mind. I want to reinforce the subconscious mind and how like dramatically much more powerful it is than the conscious mind. I want to give you this analogy. So I want you to think about, imagine this is water, right? Imagine you've got a tip of an iceberg, right? This represents your conscious mind. That represents your conscious mind. And this here represents the subconscious mind. So imagine, if your subconscious mind, how much bigger this is than your conscious mind. Imagine there's programs in here. Imagine there's negative associations that are irrational. Doesn't make any fucking sense, but it doesn't matter because your subconscious mind, that's what it is, it's irrational. Imagine there's programs in here that don't align with what you consciously want. So imagine you consciously want, right, 100k a month. And imagine your subconscious mind, right, thinks 100k a month equals stress. I mean, that's not going to leave you in a really good position because like I showed you in the model before, this line of resistance between you and your goal, that will be whatever your associations are, subconsciously. So you can start to understand, even just by knowing what a subconscious association is, how this actually creates resistance, how it's going to fuck you up if you don't actually become aware of it. So really good, very, very good, okay? Subconscious mind, absolutely massive. And again, does anyone in here consciously put effort into brush your teeth? Does anyone try and brush your teeth? Like, think about how to brush your teeth. Like, actually put effort into it. No one puts fucking conscious effort into brushing teeth. It's like a subconscious process, right? Do you actually meticulously think about how you wipe your arse? No, you don't. You're just talking shit. You're being a joker, right? But your subconscious mind, it will control your automatic behaviors. It will dictate your automatic behaviors, right? Right? It will just your learned patterns. Okay, your learned patterns. So, for example, imagine the scenario where when you were younger. Imagine when you were younger, being yourself, and in a scenario where you're being yourself. That's just an example of another subconscious association aside from money. Imagine you were yourself when you were like 7 years old, 6 years old. And at school, someone made fun of you for being yourself, right? And that was really negative. Everyone made fun of you. Ha ha, look at him, he's trying to be himself, and maybe not saying those words, but they're laughing at you for being yourself. That's going to, as a child, between the ages of 0 and 8, and even like up to about 12, you're still quite flexible, but 0 and 8 is the main kind of stage. You're going to subconsciously associate being yourself with a negative emotion. So that means that the patterns that you've learned, so a pattern that you could have learned is, shy away from being myself because that's safe. That could be a pattern that you learn. So you don't even know that you're doing that. You don't even know you're not being yourself, and you're not expressing yourself fully. That's a subconscious pattern that's being controlled by your subconscious mind. Does anyone get any questions about the subconscious mind? Anything like that? You all know this by this point.
How do you know it's actually removed in your life?
So Jay just asked for the camera, right? Jay just asked, we've all done work to remove the subconscious blocks, but how do you know when it's actually removed? Really good fucking question. There's no resistance. The thing is, right, results don't lie. See when you're getting results and shit, like see when Gavin's driving here and he's just got a fucking off-market deal, someone's just phoned him like, by the way, we need you to sell the property, right? That's an example of like just being in the right state, right? So when you have no resistance and you're getting results, the resistance is removed. Does that make sense? So it's like, the results don't lie. This is the thing, and this is why by the end of this video, after knowing all of this shit, it's going to come down to one decision. I'm going to speak about that in the car, I don't want to ruin it, right? But at the end of the video. But when you know this shit, right, you then have the power to get the results. That's why this talk's so important and powerful, right? Because when you know it's done when there's no resistance, and you know it's done when the results are flying into your fucking life. And then like 100k that felt hard last week is now like, bro, 100k is done next month. That's when you know there's just fucking no resistance at all. And you don't have procrastination, self-sabotage, and these kind of things. Does that make sense? So that's how you know it's done, and that's how you know it's gone, because there's no resistance. And when you start to feel really, really good and just fly towards the goal that you've got, that's how you know there's no resistance. Results, pretty much results. Because if it's subconscious, another thing actually I want to reinforce about the subconscious mind before I wipe that off, is the subconscious mind, it operates below your conscious awareness. Okay? Below your conscious awareness. So imagine up here as I want to make 100k, right? Imagine that's what you consciously, setting the goal. That's what you're setting the goal of, this little tiny conscious mind, right? But under here, below the conscious awareness, you've got all these negative programs that are running and causing self-sabotage, all these things, right? Think about it. It's below your conscious awareness, so you're not even aware of it. So that I have had, probably a good few of you in here, I've literally had, Jay definitely, we've had like a back and forth, like about something. And I'm like, mate, it's subconscious. Like, you're not supposed to know what I'm saying right now, but it's actually subconscious, right? Then you've went away and you're like, fucking, I know what you're talking about now, I actually understand what you're fucking saying. And I've literally had back and forth with clients about things they've got in their subconscious because I can see it, and they're like, nah, definitely not, I'm fucking sound, man. I'm definitely sound, right? I'm definitely sound. And it's because it's below the conscious awareness. So this is the thing. You can go and question yourself, and again, have all of you guys, before you came to me, have you tried to like move past the resistance on your own? Like, have you tried to, did it work? Didn't really work, did it? You're like fucking hitting a fucking brick wall, and like you're trying something and you had this resistance, and the reason why you didn't actually get the results on your own is because all the shit that was controlling you was below your conscious awareness. So you're walking about like this with your eyes like, mate, I fucking want to make so much money, and then these subconscious programs are just controlling you without you even fucking knowing it. So that's what happens. I need to watch my language for YouTube because I'll get demonetized. As if I'm monetizing. But does that make sense, everyone? Yeah, it's making clear. I know you know, but like as I'm talking, does this make sense? Everyone's on board, yeah. Perfect. Cool. So perfect. So what happens, right? When I'm saying about when you're 0 to 8, when you're 0 to 8, you have this subconscious association that's formed. That's from this experience or an observation that you have. And this happens without you even knowing it. But what you end up doing without even knowing it, right? Think about this. So you're 0, and let's just say this is like a timeline of life. This is just timeline of life. Okay? And in this timeline of life, between when you were born and end life, you have all these experiences, you have these observations where you see people stressed and whatever happens, right? At one little moment in time, what happens? Does someone know what happens? Anyone know, just based on what I'm saying? Does anyone like, what do you do without even knowing it? No? You're not been fucking listening to my calls, man. You're told things, right? But what happens? Sorry, maybe I'm not giving you enough fucking thing. I'll take responsibility. But the timeline in life, right? What happens? I'm telling you, bro, relax. You, without even knowing it, you make an unconscious decision, right? So you have this experience that you repeatedly keep happening, because it's not just one time you see your mum stressed out. That's a fucking Ralph Lauren badge. I thought it was something on my top. You don't just see your mum stressed out once. You keep seeing it. You repeatedly see it, right? You're exposed to these experiences, these observations all the fucking time. And then your subconscious mind starts to form the negative emotion with the experience, and you start to form these associations. That makes sense, everyone? Yeah? Perfect. So you start to go through that. And then you unconsciously make a decision to do what? To form a belief. Because the more that you've thought about that thing's hard, I've seen my mum cry. The more you think this, the more you see it, the more you see proof of this, you at some point unconsciously make a decision to have that belief.
Start looking out for evidence. That's all.
Well, I'll speak about that in a minute. Yeah, exactly. You start to filter reality based on your beliefs, 100%. I've learned. There's more things I've got to tell you about that you've not heard yet. But you unconsciously decide to make a belief, and there's something that I want you to write down. Take notes of this, right? Your beliefs set the boundaries to your reality. Write that down if you're taking notes. Your beliefs literally set the boundaries to your reality. And there's a lot in esoteric teachings, Hermeticism, the Kabbalion, called the law of cause and effect. And the law of cause and effect states that for every cause, there's an effect. A point to make about this is, right, that nothing in life, nothing at all, in life is random. You need to know that. So it's not random that you've not got the money you want. It's not random you've not got the results you want. It's not random. There's a fucking complete direct reason to understand that can be understood as to why you don't have that. Whether it's a subconscious association you formed, whether it's you not doing the right things. But we can extrapolate this to your beliefs and your experience. And we can understand that your belief, if this is true, which it is, your beliefs set the boundaries to reality. I'm going to show you how your brain actually does this. I'm going to completely show you how it works. Your beliefs are the cause and your experience is the effect. Your beliefs are going to shape the boundaries to your reality and ultimately lead to the experience that you have in reality. Okay? Guess what? If you believe that it's hard, okay, and you believe that it's easy, they're actually both right. So the person that thinks that they're right, or thinks it's hard, and believes it's hard, and the person that believes it's easy, they're actually both right. And this will completely dictate your whole reality. If you don't believe it's true, it's not true. It's generally not true. And we'll speak about this in a minute. But if you don't believe in it, it literally doesn't exist. It actually, there's no fucking if, buts, or maybe. If you don't believe in it, it doesn't exist. Your brain will actually completely delete it from reality. I'll speak about this in a second. I'm getting excited, right? But genuinely, this is how it fucking works. Your beliefs dictate your full fucking experience. Does this make sense? Right, so if you believe you can't, and you believe you can, you're both right. Love a wee glass of water, someone fucking said it as well. But yeah, literally, so your beliefs shape your reality. Very important. And Miles is taking notes, fucking legend. Really, really good, okay? So we're flowing now, we're flowing, it's gonna get very good. So, but the thing is, there's something I want to share with you aligned with this, and it's going to allow you to understand this even more. Okay? I'm going to speak about how your beliefs shape your reality. Okay? So how does your belief actually shape your reality? Let's look at it. So, this is you, right? I always give whoever's watching biceps because they're solid, right? It makes you feel good. But let's think about this. This is you seeing reality here. But you see it through the filter of your beliefs. You literally filter reality through your beliefs, right? And how does this work? Well, there's three things that your brain does when it's filtering reality. There's three things that your brain does. And it generalizes, okay? It deletes, and it distorts. When you see reality, your brain is going to filter reality through your beliefs, and it's going to generalize, it's going to delete, it's going to distort. Someone give me a limiting belief around money.
Money is stressful. You have to go through stress to get it.
But that's maybe a subconscious association, but like, what's actually a belief that around money that someone's had before? Okay, that's a good belief. What's a bad belief? Hard to get. There we go. Perfect. Right, so imagine, right, you've got a belief here. That was good, but it was like a power. Mate, you're just too good at the moment. You can't come out of negative, bro. Mate, money's fucking easy to make, bro. Fucking perfect. Right, so if you've got a belief here, right, and that belief is money is hard to get. That was the example that Daniel gave, right? Money is hard to get. Notice you actually said something that was positive there without you fucking meaning it. That's literally fucking amazing. Right, so money is hard to get. Imagine that's a belief, right? Well, then how do you generalize? How do you generalize, right? Well, you can put it into a sentence like this. Like, every way of making money is hard. So you generalize. So if you get a belief that making money is hard, you're going to generalize, right? You're going to just literally every single opportunity that you could do to make money, you're going to see it as hard. That belief is going to generalize your whole reality. You're not going to see anything as like, oh, maybe that. No, you're going to generalize. You're just going to generalize, and you're going to see reality, right, through that generalization. Does that make sense as a generalization, right? Make sense? Right? And then the delete part of it, right? What's the delete part of it? It's going to delete every single way to make money. And this is a really important thing, right? You're going to delete every possible opportunity to make money. Because what your brain does is, it filters reality to support your beliefs. It shapes your reality based on your beliefs, right? So it's going to delete every way you could make money. It's going to actually delete, and this is the thing as well. Everyone, if they've been in the right state, you're going to get, I was speaking to Russ about this last night, like, you've already had an opportunity or idea that's came to you that would have taken you towards your goal, right? Because you've been in the right state. But if you believe that it's been hard, or you've had a belief that it's not possible or whatever, you've just deleted it. Your brain literally just deletes that and doesn't use the information. So we all get good ideas to make money. We all fucking do. We've all had this idea, it's like, that's a really good idea. How many times have you not taken action on it though? Your brain will delete it because you've got this belief that it's actually hard, right? So your brain starts to delete it, okay? And you would likely not even get the idea if you had this belief. How it distorts is, right? It distorts because it finds evidence. Let's just say this in a very easy way. It distorts reality to support the belief. Oh no, but look, money is hard to make because look at this piece of evidence, right? Or money is hard to make. Look, like, I'm working really hard and it's hard to make. Like, you're just going to start distorting reality to back up these beliefs. Is this making sense how your brain starts to filter reality? Yeah? So if you have a negative belief, you're subconsciously generalizing across your whole fucking life, right? Money's hard to make, or someone says, like, no one likes me, right? Well, someone likes you. Your fucking mum probably likes you, right? But they'll just say, oh, no one likes me, right? And when they're saying no one likes me, they're deleting every single scenario in their life or like interaction where someone actually likes them, right? So delete that, and then they distort it by using evidence like, oh, see, this person was nasty to me, so they'll start distorting reality to support that belief. Does that make sense? As another example. So your brain literally will not allow you to see opportunities if you have beliefs around money that it's fucking hard to make. It's really, really important to know that. I'm looking at you like you all know that's not, that you all don't know that's important, but obviously it is, right? So perfect, okay, so that's making sense. So if you have these beliefs, your brain's going to literally generalize, delete and distort reality, and your experience will be shaped by that belief, right? Who's read the Kybalion? Anyone read the Kybalion? Jack's read the Kybalion. Miles is reading it. Okay. Robbie's just started it. Cool. So the Kybalion is the Hermetic principles. So the Hermetic principles, Hermetic philosophies, is ancient philosophy, is ancient wisdom. And there's a law in the Hermetic principles called the law of polarity. The law of polarity, okay? So the law of polarity states, and this is what it states. It states that all truths are but half-truths. All truths are but half-truths. That's what it states. So let's use a simple example to make this very, very clear as to what I'm talking about. So one half of the truth is good, and the other half of the truth is bad. So let's use this example. Cameraman, is it still good, yeah? Yeah. Perfect. So, let's use the example of 10k per month. To someone, the truth would be, that's good. That's actually a good amount of money. 10k per month is good. To someone else, if they make 10k per month, they've absolutely fucked it and they're genuinely in a hole. They can't support their lifestyle, right? Which one's the truth? Which one's the truth? Both of them, right? They're both halves of the truth. What dictates if they're the truth or not? Beliefs. Fucking perfect. There we go. How did you get that, bro? That's crazy. So, they're both true. They're both right. Okay, they're both the truth based on the beliefs. The beliefs. But the thing is, okay, and what I want to reinforce is, the truth is nothing more than beliefs wearing a mask. Okay? And nothing more than truth. The truth is nothing more than beliefs wearing a mask. Think about it. When you're 0 to 8, you learned this. This is a belief that you formed without even knowing it. You didn't even actually have this in your mind. If someone, when you were 4, gave you 50k in cash, you'd throw it off a balcony and not give a fuck about it. You didn't know what money was. You didn't believe that it was hard to make. You didn't believe that it was valuable. So any belief that you have, and it appears to be the truth, well, it's one half of the truth, but it's just wearing a mask, and it's convincing you that it's the truth. It'll make sense in a second, right? So ultimately, the beliefs wearing a mask, okay? I want you to think about this perspective of esoteric wisdom where the beliefs are actually entities inside your mind. So the beliefs are actually entities. And this entity, think about it as this living being that's inside your mind, and it wants to take up mental real estate inside your mind. Okay? It wants to take up mental real estate. So it actually wants to take up space inside your mind. So what it's going to do is wear a mask, and it's going to convince you that it's the truth, right? But think about it. What are beliefs? What are beliefs? Beliefs. All beliefs are decisions. Think about it. You decided to believe unconsciously that money was hard. So all beliefs are literally decisions. It's just one decision. Because at some point you made one decision that money was hard to make. So ultimately, when you think about this, the reason why when I say that to you, it sounds too simple and too good to be true, is because those beliefs that you currently hold in your mind, they're these entities that want to stay alive. So they convince you that they're actually more than just, they're actually the truth. They're hard to remove. They make you believe, right, that they are the truth, but they're wearing a mask, right? But they're ultimately just decisions, okay? Because at some point you made the decision to make that belief that was formed inside your mind. I'll show you what happens throughout life. Hopefully the audio is good here because the background noise is fucked. Should be good then. Should be good. So what happens throughout life, right? This is what happens. So we know how your beliefs literally shape your reality. And if they're subconscious, they're below your awareness. Okay, so they're literally below your awareness. So if they're subconscious, you don't even know they're fucking there, right? And ultimately, when you don't know they're there, they're controlling you without you even knowing it. Right? But what happens is, we find these, so let's actually make it even clearer. So you have this experience that's either an observation or direct experience. You then form these associations. Okay? Form the associations. And then those associations lead to you then forming beliefs. Those beliefs then form your identity. Okay? And your identity then starts to dictate, okay, how you think when you see the world. So when you see the world, it dictates how you think. Okay? Those thoughts drive your emotions. And those emotions drive your actions. And then those actions drive the outcomes of your life. Okay, makes sense? Right? So you go through experiences, you form associations, you form new beliefs. Those beliefs stay in your mind long enough to become your identity and who you are. And that's why you say things like, or that's why you probably hear your mum saying things like, people like us don't become millionaires, or money doesn't grow on trees, and these kind of things, right? That is the sentences that will ruin your life. People like us don't X, Y, Z. That's when I referred at the start, that is the sentence that will control your whole life. Because that becomes who you are. And then what happens, think about it. You see the world, this is a really important thing, you see the world as you are. Right, so you don't see the world as it is. You don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. Okay, I want you to think about this. Now you see the world, this thing here, this is your frame. Okay, this is your frame. We'll speak about what your frame is. Your frame is essentially the frame that you have over the world, how you see the world, is created when you're younger by the beliefs that you form, by making a decision. So remember here, there was a decision made here. But this decision was unconscious. Okay? So that unconscious decision was made by you when you were younger without even knowing it. But the same way that you made an unconscious decision, you can now, by watching content like this, or us in this room having this kind of conversation, like this is not awareness that people can take for granted. It's fucking unbelievable, right? You can become aware of that decision was made unconsciously, right? You make the unconscious, this is leading on to how you become unlimited. You then make the unconscious conscious, okay? And as soon as it's conscious, as soon as that thing is out of sight and then it becomes into your sight, into your lens, you can then consciously choose to decide not to believe in those beliefs that you see the world through, right? Does this make sense? Yeah, perfect. Really good, really, really good. Okay, so let's speak about your frame. Let's speak about your frame. So what is your frame? Any questions?
It sounds as easy as that, but if you've been living that way for years, regardless of the situation, how do you stop seeing the world or feeling a certain way in certain situations?
Perfect. So say that question again, Clay?
What you're saying makes complete sense.
Yeah.
And on the board it is as easy as that. But if you've been living in a certain frame, a certain way for years.
So the question is, on the board it looks really easy, all the concepts make perfect fucking sense, but it seems almost too easy, and if you're living like that for years, how could you change with...
You can be aware of it, be like, right, I'm thinking like that again, but you still feel the emotion.
You still subconsciously have it?
So you subconsciously still feel the emotional, being upset, stressed, or whatever the emotion is trying to...
Perfect. So the question for the people watching is, if you've been living for years with this way of thinking, with this belief system, seems easy on the board, but how do you actually get rid of it? Is that pretty much what you asked?
The emotion tied to it.
But how
You
do
be conscious of, right, this problem's arising again. I feel this way because of X, but you still feel like that.
Perfect, yeah, so how do you actually remove that negative emotion that keeps coming up? Fucking, that's... Getting excited, bro. That's a good question, though. It's really good. We're going to speak about that. So, let's quickly speak about your frame, though. Okay, I want you to think about your frame as your worldview. Your worldview, how you see the world. It literally dictates every single thing in your fucking life, right? Every single thing. With the wisdom that we just spoke about, the awareness you've now got, and I obviously had before, but people watching, the awareness you've now got, your frame, okay, dictates your expectations. Okay, and what you expect. Have all of you, until we work together, did you all expect just to make millions of pounds? Did you just expect that in life? Did you just expect that? Gavin said yeah. But did you expect it, like, before you done work on yourself, as a child, did you just walk about expecting you're going to be a millionaire? Early days, yeah? And then did it kind of fade away? Fade away in my 20s? When, like, reality fucking hit you? Do you know what I mean? It's like, so as a younger guy, you've got this optimism, right? But... Okay, perfect. But generally, well, you're cool. You expect to make millions, but did you expect to look at your bank and there was like 100k there? Yeah, 100%. But think about when you're going through life. did you expect to look at your bank and go, oh, there's 100k there? You just wouldn't expect that money to be there, right? So your frame and how you're forming this world view, this frame, leads to how you expect, right? And the expectations you have. The expectations then set the standards. So imagine if you just expect for life to not really change that much. The standards that you're setting are aligned with those expectations, right? Think about it. If I expect millionaires to message me off the back of my content or message me to work with me, I need to be on that sets my standards. If I'm expecting that level of people to work with me, I then show up every single day with those levels of standards, right? The standards set the boundaries, okay? Okay, so the standards set the boundaries, and those boundaries create the perception. But what comes before this is forming all these unconscious beliefs that we spoke about, right? But that literally creates your perception, so think about it, right? If you're framing the world as I expect the best, I personally expect to be so fucking successful, right? Then that leads to the standards I set, so I start to align myself with those level of standards based on the expectations I've got. That then allows me, or that sets boundaries to me, right? So if I then expect for really good things to happen, I start to operate at the highest level, I then see the boundaries as this big fucking opportunity where I can just go anywhere I want, right? But if there was a negative frame, if you had a negative frame of people like us don't be successful, what are you going to expect? You're going to expect nothing. You're not going to expect success. You're going to expect failure. You're going to expect stress. What standards do you then start to live up to? I mean, you start to live up to a low fucking standard. You don't live up to any real high standards. That sets your boundaries, and then that creates your perception, right? Ultimately, your initial frame is your worldview, but this is how it's broken down. The frame, right, is based on what you expect, the standards you then meet based on those expectations. That then lays the boundaries, and then your perception and what you think is possible, what you think the boundaries are, is then created in your life. Does that make sense? Any questions? Huh? We did speak about it in the call, yeah. So like your law of assumption, but the law of assumption is something you would use. This is, so this is something that, so if I was like, right, let's practice the law of assumption, you start to consciously focus and assume on feeling what it's like to have what you want. This is like what your frame is like, essentially made up of all of your past experiences, all of your subconscious beliefs. That's how you see the world. Your worldview is made up of all these experiences. And it's either going to, and it may be negative. Exactly. So Miles said there, you're either you're pretty much subconsciously living by the law of assumption. Perfect. So you're expecting either good or expecting bad, based on your experiences, based on your beliefs, based on what frame you have. Exactly, perfect, bro. Really, really good. So Jay's question was, if I've been like this for years, like, surely it's not as easy as it is in the fucking whiteboard. Like, how do you actually get rid of this, right? Very good question. Very good fucking question. Very good question. Very good question. So, remember we spoke about this here. Right, we spoke about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So imagine you've got all these programs like Jay mentioned. For so many years, you've got all these negative programs. It's a plus, but it's just a program, right? Well, then what happens is this filter of your mind, the analytical brain, or the concept in hypnosis where it's the critical faculty, this becomes very, very good at protecting this subconscious. So imagine all these subconscious beliefs. What's an example of that person? What's a program they would have?
Let's say you grew up in a abusive group, right? Where parents will fight, argue, you then get into a relationship, and at any sort of tension or drama, you suddenly feel sad, nervous, scared, like some sort of anxiety. Okay. You can be aware of that and know where it's been programmed from, but how do you start removing that emotion from the situation?
Okay. So a subconscious program would be relationships equal stress. That's like a program. Did you say that? So Jay's thing was, what if someone grew up in a household where there's a lot of stress? We're not going to get into that, right? But like, there's a way that we can even speak about it during the mastermind where your brain actually recreates the trauma because it's safe. That I'm not going to go into in this fucking video because it would just be here for like an hour and a half. How long are we on, Jack?
Roughly like 4 months.
Okay. So relationships equal stress. Imagine you've got this program. Jay said, like, imagine you've had this all your life. Like, how do I actually reprogram it? Because surely it's quite a strong program. It's maybe not just as easy as to look at this whiteboard and listen to Kyle and just change, right? Cool, I actually agree. What happens is this critical faculty wants to protect whatever's in here, okay? remember what we spoke about at the start, when you're in a theta state between the ages of 0 and 8, right? You're in this theta state, this state where you can be programmed very easily, right? The filter is essentially wide open, you're just like a sponge. Well, if we want to recreate that almost scenario where you can take in new beliefs or take in new programs, we want to get into a theta state, that theta brainwave state. Okay? So you want to get into theta state in order, okay? Because if I say to someone like that, it's just a conscious belief, why are you stressed out about relationships? And then they go into the relationship and then they get stressed out, right? They're like, Kyle, mate, you told me this and I know it consciously, but I'm still reacting, right? Perfect. So the theta brainwave state allows your resistance to go down consciously. Okay, it allows your resistance to go down consciously. And none of this is absolute, but it makes the resistance go right down, okay? And it causes the suggestibility, okay, of your subconscious mind, suggestibility, to go up. So it causes your ability to then take on new programs to be a lot more likely when you're in this theta relaxed state. So imagine someone had this life where they were creating, you had these subconscious programs, relationships equal stress. Well, that comes from, right, an emotional charge. It was negative. So without going into the rabbit hole of trauma and how your brain attracts this back into your life, we're not going to do that on this video. But this emotional charge was created because in that scenario was an observation of your parents arguing. Yeah? So observation, like we spoke about at the start, and that created a subconscious association that relationships equal stress. You had this emotional charge, right? So the only way you're going to remove this is if you remove the negative association. Okay? If you remove this negative association, that's the only way you're going to stop this continuing to happen in your life. And how do you do this? Well, one of the best ways and one of the most effective ways to do it is to get into a theta state, okay, or trance state, you would call it in hypnosis. And when you get into this really, really relaxed state, who in this room is, even Jay the other day when you had that visualization, you seen an old memory where you were stressed as a wee boy. Did you experience it as like a positive or a negative?
Negative, positive.
During the state. Perfect, exactly. So what happened in Jay's scenarios, right? It wasn't this exact example, right? But Jay had the negative experience as a child where he felt scared. And in the hypnosis session we done, we got into a really relaxed state. Resistance went down, suggestibility went up. And what Jay was able to do was, he was able to essentially remove this emotional charge. So how did that happen? That experience that he had, okay, that was tied to this emotional charge, this experience that he had, okay, he relived it, okay? But he relived it in a theta state, in a relaxed state. And he relived it, okay? What emotion did you feel whilst you were reliving it?
Joy.
Okay, so, perfect. So Jay was in a state of joy when he was experiencing this old memory that came up. We didn't even prompt the specific experience, it just came up, right? You could specifically prompt it. But when Jay was reliving this experience, a subconscious thing that was in his mind, he was experiencing it with an emotion of joy. What he then is doing there, he's creating a new subconscious association. Okay? He's creating a new one. He's creating a new subconscious association tied to that experience that is joy. So anytime he now thinks about that old experience, like do you feel sad in any way thinking back to it? Probably you maybe didn't before, to be fair, right?
Never before, but if I think back, definitely.
Exactly, right, okay. But what happens is, as you relive this old experience in this theta state, this relaxed state, if you're in a positive state whilst you're doing that, your subconscious mind is going to see that experience as something that's not negative anymore. It's going to subconsciously not associate it with a very negative emotion or strong emotional charge. Because you're in this theta state, resistance is down, suggestibility goes up. Does that make sense? Make sense? Yeah? So essentially this is what happens. So if you were to want to remove these things, you would do this 100%. And let's, I'm going to draw this model in a little second, but if that makes sense, perfect. Your brain forms this new association subconsciously with that event that you had before because you're re-experiencing it in a positive state, right? So subconsciously, your subconscious mind essentially learns this experience is no longer negative. This is no longer something that I need to feel fear from, right? Because you experience it in a state where you're positive.
What I was going to say is I might need to replace the battery now. Not long back. It might happen.
That's cool. Just let me know when you do it, son. Perfect. Okay. So, lost train of thought. Yeah. Okay. So.
So we need to get into this phase.
Yeah.
Or issues.
So how do you get into theta state? Okay, perfect. Really good question. It's actually one of the next things I'm going to speak about. So how do you get into theta state? The quickest ways to get into it, right, is the quickest ways to get into theta state, right? What is theta state? So theta state is a very relaxed brainwave state. Okay, but when you're in theta state, you're in what's called a parasympathetic nervous state. Okay, parasympathetic nervous state. Okay. The quickest ways to get into this state is breath work that has a longer exhale than it does inhale, right? So something like a 4-second in and a 6-second out is the quickest way, one of the quickest ways to change your state, to get into a parasympathetic state. So if you're ever doing a meditation, like when we're doing a meditation, we're doing the hypnosis sessions, you're doing 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. That's what we do. We do the longer exhale, shorter inhale, and that allows you to get into this relaxed state and get into that theta brainwave state. What's happening when we're in this state? Think about it, just as when you're a child, right? This filter starts to soften, okay? So these new programs that we're putting in, when we're doing this state, when we're in this state, these new programs of feeling confident, of being the version of yourself that you want to be, your brain starts to accept these as true subconsciously. And the repetition of doing this night and day, you start to create these new programs inside your subconscious mind. And remember, the subconscious mind operates below conscious awareness. So after you're doing this, you just notice that you're fucking feeling better without even trying. Like Daniel, for example, like Gavin, for example, like Russell, for example, like Jay, for example, says you've been doing the hypnosis tracks, you just start to operate in a way that you feel better without even trying, right? Because you're putting in the subconscious associations, the new ones, and we're forming these new programs inside your mind. Yeah, perfect. So really, really good.
So getting into this stage, I've got things that also let you to create that hypnosis track and actually myself think I believe I'm going to change, right? This experience will change.
Definitely, you can do it yourself, but just like before, so Russell's question there was, can you do this yourself? Can you get into this state yourself and remove it yourself? 100%, you can do the work yourself, definitely. What might happen though, and we'll speak about it, what might happen though, you might get into a really relaxed state and feel really good, and almost in some way feel like you've healed yourself, right? But without doing it, well actually, let me answer that in a little minute, right? So you can get into this relaxed state and you can feel good. And this is the thing as well, right? What we just spoke about there is we get into these relaxed states to do the hypnosis tracks. So you open up these filters, right? And you implement or put this new identity into your subconscious mind. You start to feel good. But there's things that need to happen outside of this. It's not absolute. That doesn't mean that you're just fixed straight away. So the scenario where you had these subconscious beliefs around money that were negative, say we do hypnosis or we do these tracks and we do what we're talking about to reprogram the subconscious mind. If you then go into an environment where every single person around you starts to go, oh, money's shit, money's scarce, money's not good, like you're just in an environment that's not good, you're going to be re-triggered, right? So that's another thing. So once you've done the subconscious reprogramming, and you felt this strong emotional, this positive emotional charge, let's stay on that quickly because I want to answer Russ's question, right? So, when you're in this relaxed state, this theta state, and you have an emotional experience, okay? And it's a vivid imagination. Okay? That vivid imagination, it fires the same neural circuits as reality, okay? So your brain actually doesn't distinguish between reality and this new experience. So when you're having this emotional experience and you're doing the meditations, your subconscious mind is actually registering what you've just been through as a new experience, as a new reality, as a new part of who you are, a new identity, right? So when this happens, your new identity is then being fired and wired together in your mind. Okay, and it's a thing called, this is a process, a law called Hebb's law. Hebb's law states that cells that fire together are wired together. So essentially, when you're doing this when you're having this emotional experience and this positive experience, these neurons are fired and wiring together. So cells that fire together, okay, cells that fire together, wire together. It's fucking roasting in this room. Okay, cells that fire together, wire together. Okay, and these new pathways in your mind, through a process called neuroplasticity, start to form this new version of yourself. Okay.
Is this the pruning?
I'll speak about that. I'm coming on to that right now, right? So through neuroplasticity, your brains get this ability to fire and wire and form new pathways in your mind. And this happens in your mind when you have these emotional experiences, when you have this vivid imagination. It cannot distinguish between a vivid imagination and reality. So this new identity, through Hebb's law, cells are firing and wiring together, and there's these new cells and these new neurons are getting fired and wired together. So you're internally reprogramming who you are with these emotional experiences, this vivid imagination. How do we do the vivid imagination? So that's answering Russ's question. Can you do this yourself? Yeah, you can. So if you get into a relaxed state, you do the breath work or you do a guided visualization where you can emotionally experience the life that you want, being the version of yourself that you want, right? This vivid imagination is going to update your identity, right? It's going to install new beliefs. And you can do this using visualization. This, like we said here, but this is visualization. So do you need someone like me necessarily to guide you through it? Not necessarily, but there's not a lot of people in the world that give you an exact track that's so specific to the identity you're trying to install. But when you're using a tool like visualization, yes, to Russ's question, can you do this on your own? Yeah, you can. You can do this on your own. You can do a visualization, and if it's powerful enough, if it's vivid enough, your brain's going to start to wire this new identity inside your mind using neuroplasticity, but based on Hebb's law, cells that fire together, wire together. Jack just asked there, is this the pruning, right? So I want you to think about this. This kind of goes back to what Jay said. So imagine your whole life you've had these wires, okay? And these wires are associated, right, with negativity, limitations. When you then use a tool like visualization or hypnosis where you can emotionally experience the version of you that already has success, you create a new wire, okay, inside your mind. But if you look at how thin this is compared to how thick that is, because that's been over time built up, then ultimately you want to think, right, cool, well, how do I get rid of this? The best way to get rid of this, okay, is what we spoke about before. You relive that emotional experience in a positive way so that you form a new association, right? But a way that these old pathways also no longer become a part of your mind and who you are is through something called synaptic pruning, okay? So synaptic pruning is the process of when these old pathways aren't emotionally charged, they start to become inactive and they start to pretty much die off. They start to prune, they start to become weaker. And as you start to not charge these pathways and wire them together through the negative emotion you used to feel, which we're going to speak about how you can do this in a minute, so last couple of parts, right, what will happen is this pathway will start to prune, it will start to become inactive and it will start to become weaker. And essentially it's going to start to die off, okay? And what happens to this new one, as you emotionally experience the life that you want, using visualization, using hypnosis, you start to strengthen these pathways in your mind, okay? And subconsciously through this model, right, that's essentially it's the new programs you're putting in. And these old programs, if you use the process we spoke about before, where you go in and you create new associations that will remove them, but these also become a lot smaller, a lot weaker. They become inactive and they start to prune. Does this make sense? Everyone make sense, yeah?
Just coming back to that second, I've got the track right here. It's very focused on certain elements. And there's new things coming up in my head every day that I'm actually going to solve that and it's running the track. So then couple that with my own visualization, I'm focusing on that.
So when you said there things are popping up in your mind that you want to solve, what does that mean?
So I'm getting new beliefs, I want to change, and it really is the track that I'm using.
Yeah.
It's kind of like focused on a few elements, right? I've already programmed it.
essentially what Russell said there for people that are watching this video. I make these custom hypnosis tracks. So when we spoke about getting into theta state, I get everyone into this relaxed state, and the track that we do is specific to what they want to install it into their own mind, who they want to become. Russell's changed who he's becoming because of the progress that he made, I would assume. It's nothing negative, it's something that's good that you've wanted to almost install. So what's happened is Russell's seen results off the back of progressing, and then the track that we've done is almost no longer relevant. Like you kind of need to change it because of the changes that's happened. So it's either you want to focus more on things that want to get removed because you became more aware of different things, or you want to change the track to install even more or less or something of a new thing essentially, right? Which is cool, right? So when you're doing this only applies to the people that are in this room, because the people that are watching this don't work with me one-to-one, they don't have a specific hypnosis track, right? It's maybe a good idea for you to do it. Miles said that every time he's been using the hypnosis track, he's been going back in and seeing new things in his mind. That's what he said. And it's because things are changing in real life, and then it applies to these new experiences you're having because of the state that you're in.
Yes, so every time I've done the hypnosis, I've went up, my behaviours have been led, and then also my surroundings. So the people I'm surrounded by are also influencing my decisions and how behaviours, and then obviously the behaviours that I follow after doing the hypnosis. So the experiences that I get from the people I'm surrounded by is allowing me to think bigger. So every time I go back into the hypnosis, I'm seeing bigger versions of myself due to following them behaviours and being in them situations.
Fully. So because Miles has been getting into this relaxed state, installing the new identity, it's been putting you in the right state, which I'm going to speak about. It's putting you in the right state, and then naturally you're just taking the right actions, putting yourself in the right environments, being around the right people, behaving in the way you should. And every time you go back into the hypnosis track, you're seeing new things, you're gaining new perspectives, you're getting more awareness. Perfect. Yeah. You want to switch that quickly? No? Good. Perfect. Okay, so that brings me on to my next point. So ultimately, when you become aware that all of these things and beliefs that were formed unconsciously, you can start to become conscious of them, right? So this resistance, like essentially look at it like this. This resistance that was between you and your goal, actually let me write it like this. Okay. Was your question answered? About like it's been stuck for a while and how to actually change it? Like it's not just as easy on the board. Do you feel like you've got an answer to how to actually do it now, other than just a conscious awareness? Yeah. So I want you to think about this. Okay, I was just addressing Jay's question there because he asked like, what if you've had it for years? It's not that easy to just listen to what you said on the board. I actually gave him a way to do it. So I want you to think about this, right? So imagine you've got this resistance between you. At the start of this video, you had resistance between you and the goal you want to achieve. Well, this was unconscious at the start of this video. Okay? Has anyone in the room thought of anything that's still holding them back, or anything that is anything new came in your head as we're talking? Might not, because we do weekly calls. No one? Anything new that's came up at all? No? No, everyone's just saying unlimited. That's brilliant. That's good. Really good. Right, so this was unconscious, right? But for the people watching the video, it's unconscious. What you've essentially done by even asking yourself the questions that you've done by watching this video is you've positioned yourself here, and you've made the unconscious conscious. So putting this into real life, right? So you've got to this point where you've made the unconscious resistance conscious. You became aware of it. You've asked the right questions. You've asked questions like, what did money look like for me growing up? And you start to go, cool, like, oh, do I think that money's hard? You start to become aware of this. Start to ask yourself the right questions. Once you're here, what you want to do is you want to maintain. Okay? You want to maintain this new belief, you want to maintain this new awareness, you want to maintain this new state that you're in. Right? Because maintaining that new awareness or maintaining this new good state is going to then lead to you being successful. Okay? But how do you maintain it? Right? Well, there's one huge thing that you need to think about, right? And it's your environment. So what do you think, right? Who are you around? What do you do in your environment, right? And what does it look like, okay? And again, like, what are you exposed to all the time? So who are you around? What does it look like? And with your environment, again, you can even think physical, but it's more so the kind of location as well. So if you go to, me and Jack went to Barcelona, we networked with some like really successful people, and then when we came back, we went to London, we went to a mastermind, and then we came back, and ultimately, we came back with a new perspective. We came back, based on changing our location or environment, we came back with a new idea of what success was or what was possible, based on the fact that we changed our environment.
Also, what you wear actually makes a difference.
What you wear as well, yeah. So very, very important. So if you're wearing, for example, old clothes, yeah, exactly. I think Jude cleared his whole room today, like all of your old clothes, completely cleared them, right? Things like this, your environment. Are you around the same people all the time? The people that used to know the old you. Are you, again, who you're around, what are you doing, what does it look like, and where's your location? Right? Think about your environment, right? If this environment is aligned with your old identity, it will keep triggering your old identity, right? If your environment is aligned with your new identity, it's going to support this maintenance that you need to have of this new state to lead to success. So the environment you're in, who you're around, what it looks like, where you are, it needs to support the new identity, okay? Your actual external environment, okay? There's another thing that you need to be aware of, right, as well, to maintain this, and it's distractions. Okay? It's distractions. I want you to think about it. If you don't have any distractions, what do you then do? You then focus, right? You remain focused. Focus, the definition that I give focus is the ability, okay, to not be distracted. The ability to not be distracted is focus, okay? If you have distractions in your life, whether it's people, whether it's your phone, whatever it is, if you have anything that's going to pull you out of the right focus, you need to remove it from your life. Because if you keep getting distracted, if your focus keeps going in the wrong place, you're going to fuck yourself completely. So ultimately, the two main things to maintain this is your environment and distractions. That is the main thing. To round this up, how does this practically look in your life? What do I give these guys? What do I give my clients? Okay, so that they can maintain all the time. What do I give my clients? Well, practically I give them a protocol to stick to that allows them to get into the right state and maintain the right state all the time. And there's other videos on this YouTube channel that will give you that awareness on how to actually do that. That's not what this video is for. This is practically how we do it. So you become aware that you're born unlimited, absolutely no limitations. Between the ages of 0 and 8, you start to pick up these lessons. You actually unconsciously decide to believe in this thing. That belief filters your reality, starts to generalize, delete, and start. I've been speaking for that long, I actually forgot everything that I've said, right? I've actually said so fucking much. But you could, does it make sense as to, like, in the room, I know you have heard this before, but does it actually make sense what I've said? Like, you were born unlimited, and you start to pick up these limitations. Have you, like, connected all this together, yeah? So what do you guys do in order to maintain this new state, right? Well, this is what you do. You start at the end of the day, because every good day starts the night before. Every good day starts the night before. Who's been doing the PM journal recently? Couple of heads like down, right? But 100%, like, the people that have been doing it though, has it been good? Really good awareness, yeah? Amazing, yeah?
I'm actually encouraging my staff to start doing it.
It's perfect, it's so fucking good. So Russell just said, CEO, company, how many people have you got staff that you said? So 50 staff on a salary, Russell's advising his staff to do what we've been doing, right? So at the end of the day, what does that look like? Very simple. There's a PM journal protocol, which I'll explain in a second. And then they have their hypnosis track. They have the hypnosis track. Okay, so the PM journal, okay, it has a few steps, but what this PM journal is to do is to create awareness, because awareness equals control. So it's awareness over maybe old patterns, things that you've done in the day that weren't actually aligned. Okay, you gain that awareness. But then what you also do as well, you gain clarity for tomorrow. So in this journal protocol, you list the 6 needle moving tasks that you can do tomorrow in alignment with your vision. Finishing the day with that clarity, you've been effective. You feel like you just woke up. Yeah? Fucking perfect. So literally, yeah, perfect. So Russell said there, it removes that what am I going to do today out of it, because you literally plan what your needle moving activities will be tomorrow. And Russell said there, because he's done the start of the day protocol that I'm going to say in a minute, the AM protocol, he's been in the right state whilst he's wrote down those needle moving tasks. So he in the right state has thought, right, they're really good things I can get done tomorrow, so he can wake up with confidence that they're actually the things that need to get done. Is that pretty much what you say? Yeah, perfect. Really good. So you've got the PM journal, the hypnosis track. To put it simply, right, and if everyone can agree when I say this, right, essentially what it's allowing my clients to do, and everyone in the room to do, is emotionally experience the life they want. Actually, no. Emotionally experience being the version of them, right? So being the version of them with the success. You don't need to just say yes, but does that allow you to do this? Fully allows you to embody the state of being, right? Jack, what's happened recently when you've done this before bed? What's an example? What's happened recently to you when you've done the hypnosis track before bed? What's actually happened?
Dreams.
Well, yeah, what happened?
I've just been having dreams that actually recreate the hypnosis track. So I've been closing high ticket offers.
Fully.
I've actually been fucking dapping up people in their home. They're having closed down on high ticket offers. So yeah, I'm fucking dreaming about being the guy. Listening to the hypnosis track.
Literally, so Jack has been doing the hypnosis track, this protocol at the end of his day. And what this hypnosis track that we spoke about earlier, that theta state, you go into that theta state, the filter opens up, your subconscious mind starts to emotionally experience being the version of you that has the success. Jack's done this before bed. He's then went into his bed, into sleep, and had dreams about the vision. He's met the people and done the high ticket deals. He's actually seen him shaking the guy's hand. He's done the deals in the vision, in his dream, right? So going into that state, when you're in a sleep state, that deep sleep state, your subconscious mind never shuts off. It's always active. It's the thing that keeps your heart beating. So whilst you're in that state, you fell asleep with it actually in your ears, haven't you? Literally. So Jack's fell asleep submersed in this, and his subconscious mind has shown him answers in his dreams, right? So it's so powerful. Like, I imagine most people go to bed arguing or worrying about the result not happening, and you're having dream like fucking nightmares and shit. I mean, it's crazy, right? A lot of people have that. Jay has some nightmares sometimes. So ultimately, that protocol it allows my clients to go into their sleep. Okay, they end the day with awareness. They end the day with clarity on the next day, the day after, and they go into their sleep in the right state. Okay, and that's very important because what happens when they wake up? And I made it so simple for them. Right, what happens when they wake up is they've got actually you do the hypnosis track first. So they do this hypnosis track again, into relaxed theta state, emotional experience of what it's like to be the version of them that already has the success. What this does, it allows them to put the state first, action second. So you should never, ever take action in the wrong state. Because if you take action in the wrong state, it's going to be hard, there's going to be resistance, there's going to be procrastination, sabotage. You want to put your state first and the action second. Since we started doing the hypnosis tracks, because this is something I've only done for the last couple of weeks, has it been easier to take action when you're in the right state? Less resistance, easier to take action. Everyone agrees, nodding the head, not just because I told them to, but they actually have experienced this. And when you put your state first and action second at the start of the day, you prioritize being the version of you that already has the success. So every single action you need to take to move towards the life that you want feels easier because you're operating as a guy that's already got it. So this is what my clients do every single morning. They've got this hypnosis track that they install their identity before they even start the day. They brainwash themselves before the day brainwashes them. And then the second part is the AM journal, okay? But all the AM journal is to review the PM. So these guys are busy, they're running businesses, they're business owners, they're entrepreneurs. They don't have time to be doing separate AM journals, right? This is just them, it's allowing them to just review the PM, regain the clarity in the right state, and then they fly into the fucking day. And when you do this all the time, every single day, maintaining this state, right, with the awareness of the old programs, with the awareness that they were born limited, unlimited, became limited, they become aware of all these subconscious associations. Every single one of the people in this room, they're all actually fucking unlimited. Like, you're all sitting with, would you say you're all sitting with conviction that you must achieve the fucking things that you want? Anyone get any doubt at all? Genuinely fucking not. It would probably be more interesting if I had clients in here that were shit because it would have been a bit more interactive, but they're all just sitting like, Kyle, you already kind of fucking know this shit, right? Everyone's sitting here unlimited, which is amazing. But when you actually implement this, what it comes down to, this is the last thing it comes down to, right? It comes down to one simple fucking decision. One simple decision. And I used to have a mentor that I worked with, and I thought, nah, this guy's just got an ego. It's just not, surely it's deeper than that, right? But it literally comes down to this one thing. Once you understand everything we spoke about today, once you have this protocol that you can implement into your life, it comes down to one simple fucking thing. Okay, it comes down to discipline. Will it be harder to be disciplined if your subconscious mind is programmed against you? 100%. But once you have became, and discipline's going to be easy, right? But what it comes down to is literally one decision. You have one singular decision to make. That's not a decision. One decision to make, right? And you've got two choices. Once you've gained this awareness, once you've been gifted, I'm having a stroke here, right? Where's that? Two choices. You either do it. Two choices. Right, so two choices, okay? So there's two choices. That doesn't say, yeah, okay. Two choices, that's what it says, right? You either do or you don't. Ultimately, you do or you don't. So if you're watching this video and you've got any level of procrastination, self-sabotage, inconsistency, you've just become aware of why this existed. You weren't born like that. You learned that. So when you become aware of all the subconscious programs that have been holding you back, you're left with one decision. And that is to do it or not to do it. To work with someone like me that can help you to remove these patterns and become unlimited and achieve everything you want, or fucking don't. It becomes a very, very simple choice. And every single person in this room chose to do it, and that's why they're all going to be multi-millionaires. That's why they're all going to achieve every single thing that they fucking want, because they're now truly reconnected back to that unlimited state that you were born as when you were 0 years old.